Well, hello, it's Miss Gina, and you're at Gina's Planet. And we're going to start off with some trivia. What animal might you find in a treehouse? A monkey? A jellyfish? An orca? A pufferfish? A raccoon? An owl? And we're back to the beginning. A monkey or a jellyfish? So be thinking about that. We're going to read a story called Blizzard of the Blue Moon. It's book number 36 of the Magic Treehouse books, A Merlin Mission, Blizzard of the Blue Moon by Mary Pope Osborne, illustrated by Sal Mordoka. A Stepping Stone book, Random House, New York. And the setting actually is in New York of part of this I'm about to read you. It's a pale purple book, and it talks about a blizzard that happened in 1996. And where I live in Northwest Georgia, there was a real blizzard of 1993. So I can't remember if New York got snow in 1996 for real, but I know that Georgia really got a blizzard in 1993. So here we go. And it says, to Elwood Smith, who long ago in New York City inspired me to write for children. Dear reader, finally Jack and Annie go to New York City, the place I called home for over 25 years. New York City is larger than life place, filled with skyscrapers, taxis, subways, parks, museums, theaters, and busy, bustling streets. The city has all kinds of weather too, from heat waves to raging snowstorms. I remember one particularly dramatic blizzard in 1996. The city came to a complete standstill as the wind howled, and it snowed and it snowed and it snowed. When the storm finally ended, pale sunlight shone on all the white streets and sidewalks, and everyone went out to play. Kids made giant snowmen, and dogs tunneled through the snowdrifts. No matter what disasters it suffered, New York City always comes back. I hope you have a great adventure there with Jack and Annie. Sorry, there's a tiny earthquake on my tripod. And we're going to read the prologue, and then the first chapter is called The Last Unicorn. He stays, the unicorn, in captivity, yet look again, his horn is free. Rising above chain, fence, and tree, Anne Morrow Limburg, the unicorn in captivity. Here's our prologue. It has a stack of books. And my little friend down here is trying to chew on books. He is an avid book lover for teething. Prologue. One summer day, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. You might as well just come listen. Okay. A mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. A brother and sister named Jack and Annie soon learned that the treehouse was magic. It could take them to any time and any place in history. They also learned that the treehouse belonged to Morgan Le Fay. It was Morgan Le Fay. It was. a magical librarian from the legendary realm of Camelot. After Jack and Annie traveled on many adventures for Morgan, Merlin the magician began sending them on Merlin missions in the treehouse. With help from two young sorcerers named Teddy and Kathleen, Jack and Annie visited 4 mythical places and found valuable objects to help save Camelot. For their next 4 Merlin missions, Jack and Annie were told they must travel to real times and real places in history. Don't eat the book. We want to know what happens. And real places in history, and prove to Merlin that they could use magic wisely. First, they went on a mission to the city of Venice. Next, they journeyed to the ancient city of Baghdad. On their most recent trip, they visited the city of Paris in 1889. Now, they are waiting to hear from Merlin again. We're on chapter 1, look. Yeah, chapter 1. The last unicorn. I showed you. Let's show them. The last unicorn. The November sky was gray. Thank you. With clouds, Jack sat reading in front of the living room fire. It's not been cold enough to make a fire. Well, maybe it has. It was 27 last night in Northwest Georgia. Who wants hot chocolate? I do. Do you do? His dad called from the kitchen. Me, please, said Jack. The front door burst open, and with a gust of cool wind, Annie rushed inside. Jack, guess what? She whispered. It's back. How do you know? Said Jack. I was walking home from the Whoops. He's a goner. I was walking back from the library. Annie paused to catch her breath. And I saw a flash in the sky above the woods. The last time that happened, before she could finish the sentence, Jack jumped up. Dad, Annie and I are going outside for a while, he shouted. Can the hot chocolate wait till we get back? Sure, have fun, their dad called from the kitchen. I have to get my pack, Jack said to Annie. Meet you on the porch. Don't forget the rhyme book, said Annie. Annie slipped outside and Jack ran up to his room. He grabbed his backpack. He checked to make sure their book of magic rhymes was inside. Good, there it was. 10 magic rhymes for Annie and Jack from Teddy and Kathleen. There's their book of rhymes. Jack charged back downstairs. He pulled on his boots, put on his jacket, tied a scarf around his neck, grabbed his mittens, and headed out the door. Come on, said Annie. Jack could see his breath in the cold air. Brr, he said, let's hurry. Jack and Annie ran down the street and into the Frog Creek woods. They wove between the trees, their boots crunching through the fallen leaves. Jack stopped. The magic treehouse was back. High in a tall oak tree, it was silhouetted against the gray November sky. You were right, he said to Annie. Good work. Thanks, Annie said. She ran to the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed her. When they climbed inside the treehouse, Jack and Annie saw a book and a scroll of parchment paper lying on the floor. Annie picked up the scroll, unrolled it, and read aloud. Mary Pope Osborne is our writer. Dear Jack and Annie of Frog Creek, I am sending you on one more mission. To prove that you can use magic wisely, this poem will guide you. M. The very last unicorn is now hidden well by those who have put him under a spell. 4 centuries, 4 decades. From that afternoon, at the end of November, before the blue moon, he will wake once more and be free to go home. If you call out his name, divine flower of Rome, you must coax him to stand once his name is spoken. His chain will break, and the spell, too, be broken. Then a young girl must love him and show him the way, lest he be trapped forever on public display. If he loses this chance to rise and depart, all magic will fade from his horn and his heart. A unicorn, breathed Danny. I love him already. I'll show him the way. But this poem is really hard to understand, said Jack. What kind of research book did Morgan send us? He picked up the book that had been left for them by Morgan Le Fay, the librarian of Camelot. The cover showed a row of skyscrapers. The title was New York City Guidebook, 1938. New York City? Said Annie. I love New York City. Remember the great time we had there with Aunt Mallory? Yeah, I love it too, said Jack. But why would there be a unicorn in New York City in 1938? A unicorn is an ancient fantasy creature. New York City's a real place, and 1938 is not even that long ago. You're right, said Annie. It sounds like a hard mission, but don't forget, we have Teddy and Kathleen's magic rhymes to help us. Yeah, said Jack. He pulled out the book. New York City Guidebook. 1938. That's a long time ago. We're in 2024. He pulled out the book given to them by their friends Teddy and Kathleen, 2 young enchanters of Camelot. The problem is we can only use each rhyme once, and we've already used 7 out of the 10. Which means we still have, if they use 7 out of 10, 10 minus 7 is, that's right, it's 3. Which means we still have 3.